You're watching Pulse for the 29th of February, and as you probably guessed, it's time for some World of Warcraft news. In this week's episode, we take a quick look at World of Warcraft Patch 4.3.3 that is in fact now live, a couple of hotfixes that came before it, a Cataclysm Post Mortem from Dave, Fargo, Kosak, the latest Dragon Soul difficulty changes, an official screenshot gallery of the Heart of the Aspects mount, and more. Let's get straight to the news. First up, as I mentioned, World of Warcraft Patch 4.3.3 is now live. Now this may be a little bit disappointing, but it's actually a good thing. There are only 2 patch notes. Apparently they fixed several client-side bugs, and they modified code and content support for the Scroll of Resurrection system. That's it. Again though, I will say it's probably a good thing. If there's nothing to fix, then that means that there's nothing broken, right? Let's hope so. Speaking of broken, and yes, this is a little bit awkward seeing that I just said that there was nothing broken. But hey, there was nothing broken. This came with a patch. If you're currently testing the 64-bit client, in order to patch the game, you'll need to remove the 64-bit files to allow the patch process to complete. It is quite simple, and the files that you need to delete from your World of Warcraft folder can be seen on your screens right now. You will probably need new versions of the 64-bit client files too, but you can read all about that below. If you're having the problem and actually using the 64-bit client, that is. Moving right along though, let's have a look at the patch 4.3 hotfixes from February the 23rd. First up, in the general changes, a completed character race change should no longer clear your active quests. That was a little bit annoying. Multiple hunters attacking the same target should now see the proper benefit from noxious stings. In the dungeon and raid changes, all players identified as tanks in Raid Finder are now automatically labeled as assistant leaders. Then in the Firelands changes, yes, these aren't super interesting, but we'll have a look at them because there aren't that many. Lava Wielder's attack should now hurt players in the area of the visual effect. Then there were a couple of item changes that you can see on your screens right now. Most of them were made to PvP gear. And lastly, in the quest and creature changes, the Druid quest Heeding the Call is no longer available to players. You can, as always, find those full patch notes linked in the description below this video. Now we're gonna have a quick talk about the recent Dragon Soul difficulty changes. During the scheduled server maintenance of this past week, the power of the Aspect spell has grown more powerful, reducing the health and damage dealt of all enemies in the Dragon Soul raid by 10%. There isn't really much else to say about this. The spell will, as I said before, grow progressively stronger over time to reduce the difficulty and make the encounters more accessible. The spell will affect both normal and heroic difficulties, but will not affect the Raid Finder difficulty. If you don't need the help of the Dragon Aspects, the spell can be disabled by talking to Lord Afrasastraz at the beginning of the Dragon Soul. If this does affect you and you want to read more, you can do so below. Next, what's probably the biggest piece of news this time around, to kick off Blizzard's World of Warcraft Cataclysm Post Mortem series, they had a sit down with one of their own, the World of Warcraft lead quest designer Dave, Fargo, Kosak, to discuss his thoughts on questing in Cataclysm. While we have seen a couple of interviews popping up here and there with Dave Kosak recently, this one is still very interesting for anyone who wants a bit of insight into the inner workings of World of Warcraft's design right now. If you do check the interview out, you can read how the primary goal with Cataclysm was to remake the 1-60 experience and keep it fun and relevant for new players. Blizzard also mentioned that they didn't really like the flow between the level 80 to 85 zones. They thought that they could have done that a little bit better. I must say that I personally liked the entire revamp a lot. Sure, it was very ambitious seeing that they had to redo 46 zones, but it definitely worked out for the better in the end. I did play the game from 1 to 85, and I gotta say that it was an enjoyable experience. I suppose the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King parts felt a little bit slow, but that's probably only because I knew the Cataclysm content was coming shortly thereafter and I was really looking forward to it. Back on topic though, Dave Kosak also mentions that Blizzard have a lot of work to do on phasing, and they are working on a lot of the core mechanics in the game right now. They want future phasing not to split players up, but to provide visual changes only you can see, like in the patch 4.2 dailies. Along with that, they told us that Cataclysm was, in many ways, as most of us probably realized, Thrall's story. And after Cataclysm, with Mists of Pandaria, they're going to be focusing on a lot of different characters, and some that we probably not going to be expecting. I absolutely can't wait for that. Dave Kosak really does have a lot to talk about, and I would say this post is more aimed at people who haven't played that much Cataclysm or just World of Warcraft in general for the last couple of months. It does give you a good impression of what they hoped to achieve with Cataclysm, what they did achieve, and what they hope they will achieve with Mists of Pandaria. You can obviously find the full post or interview linked in the description below this video. Next up, as the last big, or at least interesting piece of news we're going to have a look at, here we've got a screenshot gallery of the Heart of the Aspects mount. Blizzard set this gallery up with the 18 best player submitted screenshots that they received. Some of these submissions are really good, and I'm just getting more and more jealous by the second looking at them. There's not really that much more to say about this. We can all see that the mount does look amazing, especially in motion, and you can check these screenshots out for yourselves in full size below. With that done, we're going to move on to the World of Warcraft smalls. First up, PayPal is now available on European Battle.net. Read the latest World of Warcraft War College post, this one all about the Strand of the Ancients. It seems like an Italian version of World of Warcraft is coming to Europe soon. Have a look at some Blizzard art gallery updates, some fan art updates, and a new World of Warcraft comic. Check out an interesting video right here on YouTube titled Wild Wow. Have a look at a World of Warcraft themed music video to the tune of Night Song. Another guide from the guys at Wowhead titled Best in Show, a guide to all shirts. The latest video from Wow Krendor, Why You So Negative? And lastly, also right here on YouTube from Trade Chat, have a look at what she thinks about the Mists of Pandaria talent changes for the rogue. Sadly, that's all I have for you in the World of Warcraft news this week. You can check the links below this video to find some extra blue posts if you're interested. If not, check back here soon for more, like the video and do all that other good stuff. Most importantly though, happy World of Warcraft Patch 4.3.3.